Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Casey.
I'm Seamus.
And I'm Psychedelic Chris.
We're Vattnet Viskar, and we're
inside DaBelly.
Hey DaBelly followers, this is Sarah here. I'm with my favorite band, the Vattnet guys from Vattnet Viskar, on tour with the Atlas Moth. How's the tour going so far, guys?
Amazing.
It's been great so far. Like, we've been friends with these guys for quite a while, so I think it's been a long time coming to tour them. It's been fun so far. Yeah.
How's it been for you?
Amazing. It's super hot today, but I think that show was amazing. There's a shitload of people in there, so you always got to be happy about that.
Should we want to welcome you to the band? Since the last time we guys talked to you guys, we added Casey to the band. How'd you guys go about finding Casey?
We've known Casey forever. I've known Casey since what? How long have I known you for?
There's a picture that I saw of Seamus and I was in another band. The first tour they did was the first tour that my other band did, and I found a 16-year-old picture of little Shay, and he's so young, and I'm just sitting there with a beer and like a sweatshirt, and like we're in this basement that we always used to play in Lowell. Yeah, so we used to play. So yeah.
House show. It's a place called the Ant Cellar, and I'm like playing, and he's behind, like right behind me. It's good.
Yeah, we've wanted him for a while in many ways, but it just hadn't worked out, and I think the universe just needed to happen at a specific time.
Put it out to the universe to...
No, we would ask him, like, you know, because we can't keep a bass player, or couldn't until now, and like it would be like the first choice to be like, yo, Casey, you want to play bass? And he'd be like, yeah, blah, 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 this is going on, that's going on, and we're like, okay, and we get some other schmuck besides Joey, and then finally it just like worked out, and or Brett, yeah, and then all right.
So
Brett's all right.
So Brett's my best friend, and he's been my best friend for 20 years now. And after I finished that tour, I had a job or whatever. My mom got really sick, and they were like, oh, you should come out with us. And it just wasn't the right time. And my mom got better, thankfully. And it was just the right time. So, yeah, I'm psyched to be in it. These guys love these guys to death. So I think it's working out really well. They might contradict that, but I think it's working out really well.
I think they like you guys.
It's kind of like good to, like, I feel like this is the most like solid lineup we've ever had for sure, and it's like everything's like just clicking really well. And he's actually, I say to everyone, like, he's actually probably the best guitarist in the band, but we just stick him on the old bass. Sorry, you're terrible though. Chris is the worst. They're like they just have like shred contests, and I just sit there playing like a power chord, so you know, it's fine.
Contest?
Yes.
Yeah. No, it works out well because Chris and I are very like-minded with music and guitar. Specifically, I always think he's my yin to my yang, you know. But I think that makes the bass for me so much better. Writing was a pleasure with these guys, and I think that's going to continue. So, yeah, we work great together. And you can always tell when you're in a 120-degree van with it breaking down every 5 miles and you still get along, you can make jokes. I think that is pretty much the test. So we're doing all right so far.
Yeah, that's true. Their van has no air conditioning, so it's definitely dedication. So I want to congratulate you guys on Settler. It's going to be top 15, best of, definitely. So if you guys could talk a little bit about the album, especially the album cover, how you guys decided on that album cover.
Nick found this picture of Chris McAuliffe, who died in the Challenger thing. You want me to just hold this for you? Nick found this picture of Chris McAuliffe, and he texted it to the group. We have this great group chat going that we call Chatnet, and basically it was like the most contradicting picture I've ever seen. Like, she's kind of, you know, weightless, free, smiling, but you know kind of the end result is that she's gonna, you know, be a part of this tragedy. So you're looking at it and you're just looking at somebody at the height of their life, and it just like really hit us all in different ways. And then some of the stuff I wrote, like I just kind of stared at that picture and just played guitar. And then lyrically, he covered some ground about that, but it kind of hit a bigger theme that we were going for, which I should just toss the mic to Nick because it's lyrical content that's more his style. But musically, it was also like just that it added to that atmosphere of like things can be great and then they can just literally go wrong. And I think that came through musically on the record.
So if you want to add
Sure,
to that,
yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's like the album's not like about the Challenger. Like there's like a song that's kind of about that from like the shifting point of views and stuff like that. But we purposely didn't want to, do anything like a disrespectful way or anything, because it's more of like an homage, and it's a symbol for like, I personally had like a lot of like crazy like bad stuff happening in the last year or so and stuff like that. But I felt like if I didn't use that for the music, then it's like you're kind of letting it go to waste, and trying not taking anything like positive out of it. Sure. So yeah, pretty much it was just like, and as far as it being like a kind of divisive cover, it wasn't our intention doing that, but we knew it was obvious how it was going to be received, I think, which was I think good. Like, if you get people like arguing about stuff like that, I think you've done something hopefully right. So yeah, like we had some long discussions about that one, like, just making sure it was the right thing to do, and we all just decided like we just have to go with it. And I think it all just kind of fell into place, around it, which is great.
Yeah. So this is definitely a more personal album for you guys. Absolutely. Yeah. If you could, especially with you being a part of the band, and this is definitely, you guys wrote more as a band instead of just the two of you kind of coming together. Can you talk to us a little bit, especially how you guys found the time to do it, because you guys were touring so much last year, how the album came together?
We kind of started it, like the three of us, because Nick was in Austin for a little bit, and we just started meeting up and like just jamming parts and like getting the skeletons of the songs pretty much put together. Then Nick came home, and we kind of like made them into real Vattnet songs, Yeah.
It was cool,
right?
Because there was, I see it in pretty much 2 writing sessions. So we went on the Pallbearer tour, which is amazing, and as Nick said, we had a lot of personal shit going on. So Nick, as I said, was in Austin, and it was really cool writing with Seamus and Chris, because I was actually playing guitar for a lot, just to flesh out his ideas. And then when Nick came home, it was funny because I was like, oh, now I have to do my bass parts, which was actually awesome, because I was like, now I know what the structure of the song is, and I got to really elaborate on that and fill the spots. And that's why I like playing live so much, is because it's like really, really cohesive. But yeah, it was we had a lot of time between, and we were in a freezing cold practice space, and I think that probably lends itself a little bit to how the record sounds. And as you said, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it was we all had like immense personal struggles or tragedies, but I think that the record ultimately has a silver lining, with just being, it's not all doom and gloom. Yeah.
Exactly. For sure. It was like the perfect time for us to kind of all get together and like just do something creative, productive, just do a Vattnet record.
So the album definitely, in my opinion, takes like the wall of sound, like the Phil Spector and like Devin Townsend, kind of to a different level. And you guys are able to pull that off live, which is absolutely amazing. Is there any song like in particular that really stands out to you guys, especially with the writing process, or the most personal that you guys can think of for each of you?
I don't know about personal, but I think that a song like Cold War for me is so big for this band, because we've been really, really good friends forever. And I've watched this band grow, and my best friend did the first record in the EP. And for these guys to believe in themselves enough, and I know me, to do a song like Cold War, which is very major, sounds big, but also we knew that Chris had to do a fucking guitar solo on this. And he was like, no way, this won't fly. And we got into the studio, and no joke, I have footage. Someday it will come out, but man, I was like, Chris, you got to do a guitar solo. Like, we're guitar guys from the fucking ground up. And for everyone listening at home, he did it in 2 fucking takes. It's nothing more, nothing less, and you can hear it, and it's like so soulful, and it's not shreddy in the sense that that's like, oh, look at me, I'm this like really apt guitarist. It's I think it serves the song. I think it's so tasteful, and the feel's so there, He's so embarrassed right now. No, so I think that's a huge chance for us to take, and I'm super proud of these guys for, not being like, oh, maybe we shouldn't do this, because I think, in my opinion at least, we went for it on this record, and that's, I think, probably the crowning achievement of the record, and that's why it's last,
Just another note on the solo too is like when we started like practicing, it's like I think that's the probably like collectively the hardest song for us to play. Like for me, like vocally over the guitar parts, I was like, oh fuck, I have to figure this out and stuff like that. But it's like first practice shows up just like nailing the solo. I'm like, all right, that's like okay, no like worries with anything there. Yeah. This is a job. Like as far as like the personal songs and stuff, it's weird. I think like even with Sky Solar 2, it never ends up being like the song that's most lyrically personal that ends up being like my favorite one on the album for whatever reason. Like Dawnland's the first one on this one is my favorite for I have no idea what reason. It was the last song we wrote on the album, and I don't know why.
Came
like
together in 30 minutes.
yeah, I don't know why. Just like playing it live just is awesome. And like Sky Swallower was Apex, which was probably the most meaningless lyrics to me personally on Sky Swallower. So yeah, it's weird how that works out, but hopefully that means the music has some sort of emotional weight behind it, not just lyrically, you know?
Yeah. How about for you?
Um,
Talk about your drumming on this album. Like, if you guys haven't checked out Seamus on drums, you should definitely subscribe to him on YouTube. He's one of the best drummers out. Like he is. Yeah. Yeah, he is. Twitter.
Instagram / Seamus Manning.
Like, such a badass. So
Thank you.
Talk about your.
I think I just tried to like focus on writing more parts as opposed to just doing like kind of like a soundscape drumming style. Like I just wanted to write more like aggressive drum parts because it's kind of what I'm used to playing, you know. And I thought it would be cool to like incorporate that with Vattnet because we didn't really do that with Sky Swallower. So yeah, it was fun. It was cool just like trying to like kind of think outside what a Vattnet song would typically do and kind of add my own spin to it, you know.
Can I say something nice about your drums?
Yeah.
Oh, and he got a new drum set.
I did.
You got a new drum set.
Yeah.
It's very nice. One thing that impressed me about Seamus when I first started playing with the band is because obviously I was a fan of Sky Swallower and I knew what the recording was like. Seamus was so tenacious in the process is that like Chris would bring in songs and Chris would have a drum part in his head. And Chris isn't a drummer, but he would try to articulate it to Seamus, and every time it was like the funniest thing because we'd be like, "Oh, Seamus, we're thinking this," and he would not only extrapolate on it, but then he would nail it. And honestly, I think you killed it on this record.
I think there are a couple parts that like will come with, and I'll have like some certain drum, vague drum thing in my head, and I'll play something totally different. I'm like, oh yeah, that's way fucking better. Like, okay, yeah, just do that instead.
I think the best part about writing as a four-piece or whatever is that we're also unique individuals that you come in with a preconceived notion of how something's going to turn out, and then one of us can just spin it, and it changes everything, and you're like...
It changes the song up to like something completely different. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh. My favorite song. I did a guitar solo.
Yeah. There's a huge Devin Townsend influence, I think, from Ocean Machine on the album that you can, in my opinion, you can definitely hear a lot, especially with, was it Colony? You guys said the first song? There's a few others that if you could talk a little bit about that, especially the new guitars that you have on the album and how you went about writing your guitar parts for it.
I write on my laptop in my room, which is the only way I can actually think clearly. And I don't know. I mean, I listen to that Ocean Machine record probably 9 times a day. I can't pick out a song.
Okay.
I couldn't. I like Regulator a lot. Life is one of the best Devin Townsend songs of all time. And on that record, he just kind of nailed, well, it's called Ocean Machine, so you're ready for it to sound fluid. And I think that, I used to order Devin's records from HevyDevy.com, and his wife used to send them to me, and write a little note and like package of Skittles or whatever. And but the production on that record was very fluid, and it literally sounds like you're underwater and you're listening to whales make metal or something. Do you know what I mean? Like it sounds very dolphin. It's a beautiful record, and it's always stuck with me. That's one of the Devin records that has gotten me through a lot in life, as weird as that sounds. And I think that subconsciously I just drew a ton of influence from that without meaning to, but I should probably send him our small royalty check or something, because I think there's a couple of parts on there that are just straight, oh, that's just Devin's chord. But I think, I couldn't tell you what the favorite song on this record is. I like playing Yearn live a lot because it's just it's really slow and it's kind of our thing that should not be type song. But I think with the record, we just put a lot of trust in each other, and which only came about because it's the four of us now. Where before it was not that we didn't trust each other; it was just like very, very directed.
What we were really doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Like the writing process for this was, it seems like we had less time, but like actually everything was so much more organized. Like we actually got to like pre-pro stuff and everything. Like Sky Sweller, like Seamus had joined the band like a month before we went into the studio, and everything was kind of hectic. Like I remember practicing and trying to write right before we went in, and my brain was like soup, like trying to like remember everything and just. But this was just all around a much better, like more smooth process for sure. And I think hopefully that shows in the thing. I think it's a much more cohesive like album.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great I love it. It's great. So you guys didn't go with Brett this time to write the album. I'm gonna scrub. What's the name of the studio you guys went to? Sunland. Was it?
Oh,
the studio. Yeah.
Earth Analog. Yeah.
Earth. Okay. Can you explain why you guys went to him, or how much the influence was that he had in the recording process?
Well, I'll let Casey tell the second part of the story. Okay. The first part of the story is we were at Roskilde Festival in Denmark, and this guy Sanford Parker came up to us and he's like, and we've heard this guy's name. He's done Pelican Records, Knock Mystium. Everybody, Atlas Moth dudes are really good friends with him. He's from Chicago, and he's just like, hey, let me do your next record. And it was literally just like, okay. It wasn't. It was just a very simple decision as far as that goes, because he's got a lot of records that he's done that I love. And then we went in and we kind of gave him the reins on production, and we just trusted him on that level. And then he threw in that we could record at Earth Analog, which is Matt Talbot from Hum's studio, and Casey is a very large Hum fan. They're a band from the '90s, and they're amazing. And it ended up working out really well. We ended up living there for a week above the studio, and it was a great experience all around. But Casey should tell, why it was that important to him, because.
This clearly isn't going to make the interview, but there's a cat climbing up that telephone pole, which is kind of nuts. I hope we don't have to call the fire department. Yeah, so, I mean, these guys were in touch with Sanford when they played with Roskilde, and we had a lot of personal recommendations from him, and he made a lot of good records, so it seemed like a no-brainer, and, I mean, I have to give it up to Century. They accommodated us with pretty much everything we wanted. It was just an awesome experience. I think part and parcel with the writing of the record, where it was pretty much the four of us really hashing it out. Like I said, it was as personal writing it as it was recording it, because it was just the four of us. Sanford, he had this assistant engineer, Carl. He is the best. And, of course, it was Matt Talbot from Hum Studio. Matt, I love you. We lived there for a week in this really desolate town of Tolono. Yeah, you can edit that out. And Tolono. And I think it's so important to get out of your comfort zone. And I'm from Mass, they're from New Hampshire, and we went to.
Hold on for a second. Yeah.
The hog's coming.
Over here.
Yeah, man. Look at that. No helmet. Blackout drunk. Blackout drunk. So I think it was really important for us to be in the studio, very isolated for 7 days, 6 or 7 days, and we lived there. We ate there, we recorded there, and it was the best. Didn't matter what time of day it was, we were recording. Sanford let us try everything, and I think we were a little bit nervous going in with it because we don't sound like the other bands that he records. And pretty much the minute he hit play and we heard it coming back through the console, we were like, we don't have to tell this dude anything.
Yep.
Honestly, it was really like that.
It was like amazing. I would say it's not like we weren't worried about anything, but we didn't know him super well going in, so we're just interested to see like how he would interact with the whole thing. And we're still relatively new to doing this, so like as far as like recording albums and stuff, it's our second full length. So it was, but yeah, like right when you get in, he's so good at what he does, so like fluid, just like using the Pro Tools or whatever, that it doesn't waste time, but it was not like an ass or pushy about anything. Just very good, like subtle ideas with stuff like that. Yeah, maybe we should add a guitar part here, add synth here, like whatever. And it was great just having him having like his input there. It's just another ear is always appreciated. So from someone who gets it.
I also think I want to give us some credit because we were so well rehearsed. I know they're laughing at me, but we. if I could just say one more thing. We were so well rehearsed going into it because we did have some time to get the record together. And I think that's why, personally, the record means so much to me, is because with Sanford and the amount of, like, Shay nailed his drum parts in close to one take every time. These guys went in and nailed it. Nick didn't really do that many vocal takes. It's pretty much what you hear is like almost first takes besides overdubs. And Sanford had this like arsenal of toys that we ended up having spare time to use and create pretty much the ambiance of the record. And that's the kind of like my favorite memory of it, is that I didn't think we'd have that chance to do that. And that's something that's like very meaningful to me, is that these guys came in, we nailed it, and then we had time to mess around with it.
That's cool. Is there any song that came out completely different than you guys anticipated?
I just think that maybe the Bridge of Airs, the
Yeah,
chorus parts.
The like kind of quieter parts of the 6 on the album Airs came out like a little different, because we added I think like whammy to Chris's guitar during that, so it sounds like it changed it a little bit, and just like there's like we added a couple like weird guitar swelly things behind there. The end of Dawnland's the first song too. We just had Casey add a guitar line on the end of that, and that's probably like my favorite one. Ended up being just sits down there. Yeah, we need another guitar part there. Casey, do something. Plays it. I'm like, oh, that's my favorite part on the album now, I think. So yeah, it's fun.
And of course, Chris's solo is a huge highlight for me too. It was awesome. It was so relaxed that Matt would bring in a bottle of whiskey every day. He'd drink half of it, and then we'd like all just be. It was just awesome. It was perfect, honestly.
That's awesome.
So good.
So, because we had talked about it before, wrestling. Turn it over. Yep. So SummerSlam's coming up. Yep. Undertaker, Brock Lesnar. Who do you have picked out?
Undertaker.
I don't know anything about wrestling.
He likes
Not
I
yet.
have no idea. I like Vince McMahon gifts. I don't even know anything about wrestling at all.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You can leave.
I'll step back.
Why haven't you showed it?
I know. I don't.
We tried.
We're gonna do that tonight. We're gonna
Okay.
just
Okay.
We'll start a text group.
We will.
Yeah,
Our
it's
whole-
most of our group chats. It's so little business. It's almost exclusively wrestler gifts.
It's just a gift of Vince McMahon.
Yeah, and he has money. I mean, SummerSlam, I don't know. I will say the best Raw I've seen in years, because we watch Raw independently. We're like, well, why the fuck are we just watching it together? And a lot of times me and Nick will. But that Brock Lesnar and Undertaker like showdown, dude, it went on for 25 minutes, and he kept and then the whole cast came out. That was the best. I want Undertaker to win only because it'll be revenge for Brock breaking his undefeated streak. But like, you don't think Undertaker's gonna win? I think
has to win.
Well, no, for us he has to win, but I think we're gonna see a major passing of the torch, and we all know that WWE has such a lack of talent. They need to make Ambrose more crazy.
Right. Well, if you remember when Lesnar beat.
I know it's the Undertaker, but
Yep. There you
but honestly, I think this is I don't think it's gonna be his last match, but I think this is gonna be his last big main event. I really do.
Then they have to give it to him.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe it
They're
is.
not gonna let
Maybe
him
you
go
guys are
out
right.
like on a loss. I don't think he's the freaking Undertaker. I've been watching him since like I was like 4. You know, so like yeah.
So is wrestling your new hockey, or are you still a huge hockey fan?
Oh, I'm still a big hockey fan, although it was harder this year because the Bruins really sucked. But and it was like in Texas half the time. But I mean, I think it was a good year to be in Texas since the Bruins sucked. I didn't have to put as much effort into like keeping up with it. But yeah, I mean, like wrestling, I've come in and out of. Like when I was a kid, I loved it. Then like Attitude Era, loved it. Then now, I don't know. There was like, I remember, I specifically remember, was it Mae Young giving birth to a rubber hand on Raw, and I was like, yeah, that's like enough. I think I'm good for a few years. But now I watch some. I'm not as into it as I used to be because I just don't think it's as good. But I still, it's still entertaining. It's hilarious. I don't know if you can ever like top like Attitude Era, like The Rock and Stone Cold and stuff like that. Like, there's no one driving a cement mixer in and filling Vince McMahon's car now.
Or
like,
Zamboni.
Yeah. And just Vince isn't there like really anymore, which is a bummer too, because he's the best. So good.
We just have to get you into it.
Good luck.
No?
I just never really got into it. I think I'm a little too young. I think I kind of miss me a little bit.
Have you turned 22 yet?
Yes.
Okay, so
22 in April.
happy late birthday.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you guys very much. Is there anything you'd like to add, or I know you guys are going to probably keep touring. If you want to talk about future Vattnet Viskar.
First of all, rest in power, Roddy Piper.
Oh,
Okay.
rest in peace,
Moment of silence. Yeah, we'll be back in November. We'll announce it soon, and then see what happens. Go home for Christmas, hang out.
Come back here.
That stuff. 1349's gonna be mad at me for saying Christmas because they're very anti-Christian. So yes, I think that's pretty much. Yeah.
Maybe write some new songs.
Probably write some new songs.
See what happens.
Yeah.
You guys have pressure on you with the label, like to write a new album anytime soon? No?
Whenever we're ready, we'll do it.
Okay. Cool.
No
Well,
pressure at all. There's no pressure. We do what we want.
congratulations. Chris just got married. So congratulations on your wedding. So definitely check out Vattnet Viskar. They're on tour with the Atlas Moth right now. And check them out on Spotify. They're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Am I missing anything else?
Yeah, pretty much everything. Yeah,
you
the
know.
socials. Yeah.
Social media. And
stuff. Yeah, normal online things, band stuff. I know.
Thinking my lips is what's on walls. Someone talking cause it's their forte. We've been 60s, so come for the charge. Seen someone throw it away.